Ambassador Raison, and this is the Global Digest think tank group, and you are also our guest today. You still a diplomat position, or you are already retired?
I retired in the beginning of this year, yes, and I'm in active still in this voluntary work. I'm working for the European Neighborhood Council as an external advisor. And other than that, I'm also Secretary General for a business association in Finland. Yeah, but these are like hobbies for me. I'm very interested in Central Asia, in Asia. I have many connections, so I try to be helpful. But I'm retired from the active duty. Yes.
Right. Finland is part of Scandinavia country.
Yes. Basically, we are up there in the north. Our neighbors are in the west. We have Sweden. In the north, we have Norway. In the east, we have Russia. And in the south, there is sea, and down there is Estonia, the Baltic states. So we are up in the northern part of Europe.
I see. I thought Denmark is also Scandinavia country.
Yes, Denmark is also Scandinavia. It's for us. It's behind the sea on the southwest. So you have to take a boat and ride for over 24 hours, something like this. Yes, we have also Iceland actually. Yeah, we count also Iceland. Although Trump may say that it's part of America, American continent.
Iceland or Greenland, both are Scandinavia.
Greenland is belonging. It's part of Denmark, or it's an autonomous part of Denmark. Yeah. So if we think that way, the Nordic countries or Scandinavia is quite wide, like area-wise, but
including Iceland and Greenland.
Yeah. I have been working in Central Asia for over 7 years, so I have been there active, and also I have worked in Russia, and I worked in Africa. I have worked in South America, North America, but in Asia I have only worked in Central Asia. Yes, I think we Finns come originally from from Asia, from I think from Altai Mountains, or from those parts. Yes, a bit northern from your parts.
I see. Most of Finnish people are Asian descendant.
I think we have this kind of yes, genetically we have a mixture, of course, but we have this. There is a strong evidence of genetically that we are related. Yeah. And even some people claim that in Japan there are these Ainu people in the north part of Japan, and they have some similarities with the Finnish. Yes, so there is some genetical roots. But as you know, we are all coming from the from. I think Asia is like the mother for civilization. So
right. Also, you work for European Bank, right?
Yes, I was working for the EBRD, which is the European Bank of Reconstruction and Development. The bank has activities in Asia all the way to Mongolia. So we have quite big presence in Central Asia. And of course, it started from the collapse of the Soviet Union. So it was the bank to reconstruct and bring about market economies in those countries. So basically, that was the original task, and it extended to Northern Africa after the Arab Spring, and then we now lately it has also started activities in Sub-Saharan Africa. So it is expanding, but basically it's a regional bank. I don't know if you know about the Asian Development Bank. It's a kind of sister bank to the EBRD.
Right.
I have been visiting Malaysia and Singapore. It was in my early days. I was in 1985. I was writing some articles about the culture and especially the business people in those parts. And then I also have visited Manila, the Asian Development Bank.
Right.
And then, yes, lately I was in Japan this spring.
I see. But you never been to Burma, right?
No, unfortunately not.
It's a failed state,
Yes.
in
I
diplomacy.
understand that we had development cooperation. There was a time when it was becoming more democratic, wasn't it? And it was a very promising time. People are very friendly, very peace loving, and there's a lot of progress to be made.
Right. It is supposed to be very good country, but military authoritarian system is strongly rooted. That is the problem. And a lot of, as you mentioned, illicit economy in it means black market. Without the regime, all these illicit economic or illegal business cannot produce within the country territory boundary. A lot of corruption, and they are destroying the country. They are destroying and killing a lot of civilians, innocent people. They regardless of innocent people or regardless of women and children, they bombing and killing. They said because the democratic forces are attacking or rebelling, but they are democratic forces. They are asking for regime change or proper democracy system and freedom of the country. But military regime did not accept. But the problem is a lot of other countries are supplying weapons that make regime strength. Then regime is a mess in the country and destroying the country.
I understand. This is very alarming, and it has been our concern for a long time in the European Union. We have been following up the situation, and we have tried to introduce change, supporting the democracy and the principles of human rights. Of course, the human rights, they compress a lot of things, but it is the duty of any human being to behave, in a certain manner and not suppress, oppress other people. This is absolutely the key. And I don't know if the Asian countries have been able to kind of influence the regime, the current regime, that the way that they have chosen to suppression and breaking the human rights, it's not the right way to do things. And I don't know what are the recent developments there. So is there any sign of correction or mildening of the position of this kind of oppressive regime, or is it continuing even further to oppress? How
Right.
do you see the trend?
So unless we change the root of cause, the political system, that will be very unlikely to be freedom or a good democracy. Because military they want to involve in all this democracy system. As they expected, now all the military leaders become elected as a new government. The same people, the same things, because the system is not correct, The military did the constitution, at least 25% is directly, or military have a seat, 25% seat in parliament. So that is not acceptable in any democracy system, And also election process, a lot of corruption, Election is rigged. It's rigged.
Yes, no,
They
no
just
observation. Yeah. Yes, I have been an election observer of the organization of European OSCE, so it's an organization for European uh, countries to monitor these elections. Um, it's called human rights. ODIR, it's human rights supervision, and it's every member state sends professional. We are trained and we follow the rules, and we check even before the election how the campaign is it a level playing field for everybody, and things. The election is a long process. Actually, it starts even before the elections. How the campaigning is done, is it fair, is it giving equal access to media, to everybody to broadcast, and then the campaigning, is it free or is it constrained? There are many issues. So it's a democracy is a difficult process. It's really requires participation of the people, the alert, and are not accepting any wrongdoings. If they have they can report, and then the election monitors can check and verify. And also these machines, they have to be pre-checked and tested so that they bring the results, and not nobody can touch the numbers. That is very crucial. So as such, they may facilitate. We have a paper ballot in Finland still because we don't trust these machines. If something goes wrong in paper balloting, you can always count the papers again. Yeah. So
I don't think even half of the whole country constituents were properly properly conducted election, and many are excluded for election because of a lot of military laws control of territory.
yes.
Over 50% territory are not controlled by military. So military
Yeah.
control in only big cities. Even the candidate not being to the constituents, but he or she was elected from that particular constituency. Never
Yes,
been
yes.
there, the candidate did not get any single vote from that particular constituent, but he is representing that constituent. So it's a lot of error or a lot of malfunctioning or inappropriate the election was done. There are many things election system election rich in this Burmese case, and more or less is at least if there is a new leader, a new face, a good leader, somehow it should be hopeful. But now the same person, the same leader from last year, so there is no hope. That is the main reason. There is no hope.
Unfortunately, it is come to always people's own conscience. These leaders who have corruption, who have power, who have ruthless methods, they should face themselves in the mirror and see how they are as human beings. I only think of hope of philosophy of religion. I think Buddhism is quite strong in your country.
Right, around 80 or 70%. But there are also certain Christian region, like Chin State is, or that is a Christian region, also Kachin, also Christian state, Guarani, or about four Christian state. But the problem is the regime is bombing or destroying churches and a lot of Christian houses, building. That's the most concern. Those are very much their own unique groups, Christian, ethnic Christian, like Chin ethnics. because there is a federal and freedom of democracy, religious freedom. Initially, everything's agree. Even still, British was initiated all this agreement, and British Prime Minister and Burmese leader agree. I mean, but they broke the agreement. That's we can see. That's why ethnic Christian has they have they have a reason they might join or they might not join anymore with the union. So that international community need to strongly pay attention, like European Union and
Yes.
America.
Yes, of course. It's I'm more pointing out to the personal responsibility of each person. You know, even if you are Christian, if you are Buddhist, even if you are Muslim, you all have very high principles, and you shouldn't kill. You should respect the other human being. You should be a good citizen. It would be very helpful for people to start improving their inner life and their inner esteem. And this I also recommend, of course. Myself, I am not a good example, but I always try. And also to these generals, they would should think about the future. Like in every religion, those people who do bad things, they end up getting bad outcome sooner or
Right.
later. So whatever they get, riches and power in this life, there will be reckoning. And I would be very afraid if I be a great general. I would be a very kind general. I would actually try to give people the say in their own living. And this is what the democracy is, that you have everybody has respect to each other, and they have certain rights that and of course some duties also. They must be balanced, but this would be such a helpful thing. To myself, I really think of this life of some dictator is quite a scary life, because he or she must always look behind and see who is after me. And if you have read these books of biographies of these dictators, their life is miserable, and the next life or what after comes after death is going to be not so nice, I would say. This is
Right.
my belief, that there is a
Right.
judgment coming.
The Burmese authoritarian military general very much misuse religion, Buddhism. They are very much misuse, and they misrepresenting Buddhist religion. And a lot of even Buddhist believer, majority of the people, that's why they don't like the regime anymore. Even though the regime itself is Buddhist, but they are misusing and they are killing, bombing their own people, civilians all over the country nowadays. So who will be trust the regime? So that is a big issue. How we can stop the support military regime? Instead, uh, we should support democratic forces and Christian region. How do you see European foreign policy related to Burma?
Well, I'm, as I mentioned, I'm no expert in this. I have very little information, but I have, what I learned is that there was a glimmer of hope. There was a time when the situation was going a little bit better, uh, but then it kind of changed, and the leaders kind of found it unnecessary to do anything for democracy, and they thought that they can do whatever they please. And of course, European Union is rather weak in international diplomacy. We are a bunch of states, and we agree on some things, and we disagree on some other things, and we have to have a consensus of all the 27 countries to to do something. And of course there are so many different minds, and somebody says, is it necessary, we need to do this and not that, and so it's a little bit it's not very efficient. I must say that I wish they could do more and be more active, but as it is, I'm counting also very much on the civil society organizations, people, if they
Right.
can gather, how much possible is it to gather in smaller groups, like in communities, like try to self administer common issues in smaller communities, to learn how to conduct meetings, to vote, to these kind of self-organizing units. What I would like to see is perhaps one thing. The European Neighborhood Council is helping a lot in this region, which is consisting of Central Asia to from Central Asia to the west, but we are not covering, unfortunately, the Burmese situation. So we would like to see these kind of principles. In Asia, I think there are quite active civil societies in Japan. There are democracies, and I think those countries should perhaps be more encouraging and more supportive. I don't know, because they know the situation better than us. We have so much difficulties understanding, and we also our problems are not nowadays so close to our borders because of the situation in Ukraine. So it's a shame that in Europe we have a war which is it has lasted longer than the First World War, and this is
Right.
so terrible that nobody imagined that. And I understand that there is a lot of wishes for China to act more decisively and more, supporting peace and not this aggression, which we see that it's doing, and it's providing a lot of support to Russia, which we, of course, lament a lot. And also Chinese influence, I guess, in like you mentioned, in Burma and also Russia. This is not helpful for democracy and human rights, I would say.
Right. Japan may did something, but also very limited, and mostly maybe Buddhist, Japanese Buddhist country, so major maybe.
As you mentioned, the situation is very difficult, and it's getting worse, and it is not improving. I am aware of the church. We have, of course, the Catholic Church, very prominent in Europe, and of course, there are Protestant churches where, of course, I am coming from the Nordic countries, which are Protestant countries. So Lutheran religion is for us the most common. Let us see. I would very much like to be of help, but I am now just a little bit. I have to do my homework in this. The friendly people. It's a very fertile country, very welcoming country in the outset from my point of view, and it has a great history and culture, all the possibilities to develop. And in Asia, this is remarkable how many countries have had these similar kind of situations. The military dictatorships, and then they have overcome and they have turned to democracies. I was mentioning South Korea as an example, and I think that if there is a chance for more connections, people should learn from each other and establish more contacts. That would be very helpful. We can think about neutral subjects like education, We can talk about healthcare, how to improve access to justice, for instance. We have many issues the European Union has been promoting, which are neutral and helpful for everybody and enable more contacts. I think this is one of the things that people should know more about Burma, get to know each other, discuss more. Perhaps that is a way forward.
Right. Education is also good. Healthcare is also good because a lot of displaced people, because of military bomb, their strike, they cannot live in their village, their hometown. They have to escape. So a lot of displaced people and refugee at the border, especially Burmese Indian border, a lot of Christian refugee are here, and they need definitely healthcare, medical assistance, and also uh, education. Many of children for a long time, 5 years, 6 years, now is going to be 6 years. They did not have education. They did not properly go to school. They don't have classroom, something like that. So there are a lot of things. Even uh, if we can arrange online higher education, like university courses, and a lot of high school, middle school need to be properly function, operate. That's still difficulty. So one NGO or organization, they engage maybe also a lot of corruption because the aid is not reaching there. Sometimes Europeans said they provide millions or something, humanitarian assistance or any aid. So it's something is missing, management. They they are working with whom and which organization. That is very secretive. That is I think European country, democracy countries should not be do such thing, right? Open engagement and no corruption, transparency. Diplomacy also. You can do also humanitarian diplomacy. How do you think about it?
Yes, thank you very much for these points. It's important. I think this is a very sad thing because a lot of people wish to help, but if they feel that the aid is not getting to the people, it's somehow wasted or goes to pockets of the leaders. um, they don't give. They say, okay, Burma, of course, needs help, but there is no reliable way of delivering the help. If you help, it ends up in wrong pockets. So this is a very vicious circle, I would say. And that's why it is so important to find reliable people, local people with whom to work, local organizations that are trustworthy and open and transparent. I don't know how much the leadership, the government lets these local people to organize themselves in a way that is transparent and trustworthy to others. I think there is some missing link there somewhere that
Right.
it kind of in a way, if I were the leader, I would say, you see, this is useless. These Europeans, they just waste their money in something and it doesn't help. You see that they are not caring of you. And then it's also for them beneficial if the aid is not efficient. If it were efficient, then people would feel that the leadership is not helping them, but other people are. So they would say, okay, let's do it ourselves.
Right. Around the world, people can see our think tank broadcasting as transparency. These are open sources. So many cases, many organizations, they don't because they are empty, so they can do whatever they want, no reporting or no auditor. So that is also something misunderstanding within them or among leadership. So whether MP or diplomats or government officer, it doesn't matter. Whoever they are obliged to report, they should make transparency. They should refrain for any corruption. In Burmese, many politicians, they consider themselves, if they are legitimate, they can do anything corruption because they are already legitimate. They are already MP. So I will do whatever. That the same happened in the military regime. Military, they have power because of guns, weapons. So they want to do whatever they want because they have power. But Burmese democracy, many MP perception is they are already legitimate. They will do whatever they want in terms of financial, no report or and no transparency. They most of the case they ignore. That is also another problem in democracy system in Burma. That's that is a reality in Burma's case. But European people don't know because many international community they see if he is MP, he is elected, then they trusted them. Just trusted because they are elected MP. But they don't further, they don't check or they don't examine furthermore whether they are corrupt or they are misusing. So I've been telling many times in think tank group at the podcast, there are no auditor for 5 years. How international community are dealing about Burmese humanitarian issue. I'm telling many times,
Yeah, well, I always check exactly this. How is the evaluation going to be taking place? How is the local community involved? Who is asked of this? A little bit later on, how the aid is coming? Is it delivered? Independent examination of an evaluation is needed. And rules and regulations should be placed before the aid is given. So there must be this conditionality of auditing, of evaluations, on frequent questionnaires of the recipients and the wider community, if this is helpful or not. Because other than that, then of course, like you said, it's like everybody's turning the blind eye and not looking at the problem, saying that it's democracy, so it must be good. Democracy doesn't guarantee anything. It's
right,
you have learned. We have all learned about Russia when it became kind of democracy. Without any rule of law, without regulations, the legislation was missing. So the democracy got very bad name, so in Russia, so nobody believes in democracy there anymore. So it's terrible in that sense that we spoiled this opportunity. We didn't know about how to do it because it hasn't been happening before in the world history that this country collapsed so fast and then
right.
yeah. So we have to learn about our mistakes and be very honest and transparent. This is not easy for a politician, especially. They say that we know wha- what should be done, but we also want to get elected a second time. So many people are like that, and then their families, their relatives say, "Oh, now you are elected. Now you start giving us something good." You see how it is. A human being is very fragile and very easily manipulated and distracted. So, unfortunately, human condition.
Probably related to Burmese case, they need proper policy coordination, like think tank, They don't have any think tank related to Burmese case. They can just talk to the MP
About what could be done, what is not yet doable. all this needs a lot of local expertise, and that's why I would say that the European Union should help local NGOs, local activities. This is something very helpful, and you pointed out rightly that there should be this monitoring and evaluation, and the local people know better. So we should be more interactive, and more presence must be established. Let's see. I would say that at this point, I'm very interested.
So we have to train local people to align with the policy, and we have to exchange with local people. I mean, they are participating.
Normally, when it gets colder in Europe, people are start getting more active, and you know that we have a heat wave now in Europe, not here up in the north, but in the south. Even in London, in Paris, in many capitals, it's over 40 degrees. For us, it's something extraordinary, and people are not working very efficiently. They try to just relax and keep out of the heat.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. It's a pleasure to talk with you.
Pleasure mine. Thank you so much.